Break-even revision, exercise 5, worked answers. So what we're looking at now is using break-even analysis to help us make some decisions and plan for the future. So what we're doing is looking at tasty takeaway pizzas and seeing if they make some changes, what would happen? So they're using break-even to predict their future and have a look at it. And we're going to be using the break-even formula. If you can't remember it, check back in your booklet, but actually, to be fair, I've put it here. So the break-even point equals fixed cost divided by sales price minus variable cost. So here we go. They've already predicted their break-even point is 108 pizzas a week, and they think they're going to sell 150. They've got a sales price of £7, a variable cost of 75p per pizza, and fixed cost of £675. They've got a margin of safety of 42. 150 minus 108. That's their planning. It sort of looks all right so far. So what we're going to look at is if they put their price up to £8, what would happen to their break-even point and their margin of safety? So we're going to put in the £8 as their new sales price in here. So we've got 675 divided by 8 minus 75p equals now 93 pizzas. So they're going to break even at less. Putting the price up has reduced the break-even point from 108 to 93, which means their new margin of safety is 57 pizzas. That might be a good idea, but we've got the question here, would they recommend it? So when you're answering a question like this, you need to think about what the good points are. And the good points clearly are increasing the margin of safety, reducing the break-even point, but always think about it. If they put their price up, would they actually start to lose customers? Would their 150 pizzas a week be a realistic sales figure? Those are the sort of things you need to think about. Think about in the local town, what if one of the pizza companies put their price up? Would we just swap to one of the others, or would some of us just stick with that pizza? Think about those. Think about it as real as possible. So the second part of this is if they cut their price to £5, what would happen to their break-even point and their margin of safety? Would we recommend this? Now, obviously we're using the same formula. Let's have a look at these figures. So 675 divided by 5 minus 0.75, so we're looking at 425 as our contribution. They're going to break even at 159 pizzas. Now, they predicted they were going to sell 150 pizzas. So this would mean that their new margin of safety would be -9 pizzas. We're saying, no, don't do this. It's a silly idea. However, could it be if they reduce their sales price to £5 that everybody in the town would go, wow, they're cheap pizzas, and come and buy their pizzas from their place? So the 150 pizzas they expected to sell might now be 200 pizzas. So it could be a viable idea. It's up to you to think about that and argue it. Now we're going to be looking at their costs and seeing how a change in costs should affect their business. Now they found a cheaper supplier for their pizza boxes, 5p instead of 10p. What would happen to their break-even point and margin of safety, and would you recommend it? So we're going to put those figures into the formula. It's 70p instead of 75p. Ooh, doesn't seem to make that much difference. Because of the rounding, it's still 108 pizzas, which is their break-even, so there is no margin of safety. So should they do it? If the pizza boxes are the same quality for 5p instead of 10p, I would say yes. But if the pizza boxes are slightly less quality, I'd probably say no, because nobody wants their pizza box, if the pizza getting cold, pizza falling apart, things like that. So decision to make, it has very little effect on their break-even point. We look at the bottom, they've found a new supplier of Italian cheese that will be better quality than the one they plan to use, but it's going to double the price of the cheese. So it's 30p per pizza rather than 15 they've planned for. We're going to go back to the original box price. We're going to see what happened to their break-even point and their margin of safety. So the figures are 675 divided by 7, it's now 90p a pizza. So our break-even point is 111 pizzas. That makes our margin of safety is reduced to 39 pizzas. Now, would I recommend it? If their customers could tell the difference and the pizzas were more delicious, or they could use it as a selling point that we are using authentic Italian cheese, I they might well do that because the margin of safety is still quite generous. However, if that's not the case and they don't think their customers are going to respond to it, then I wouldn't bother. I'd keep it at the old price. The thing with every question in business is it depends on the business. So you need to really look at the business and think about it from their point of view when you're making break-even decisions.